we're back on time. Thank you very much for having us for the 48-hour film. And tonight we are with one of the actors for the short film.
La Familia. Hello, my name is Daniel Mart. I was the lead actor. I portrayed Paul Mitchell, and I was also one of the writers for the film.
Wow, that's impressive, being an actor and a writer. So you wrote the movie for you as an actor?
In a sense, yes. I mean, there was three writers in the room. It was me, the director Greg Rivera, and Stephanie Paul, who was also the other lead actress in the film. And between us three, we wrote the film in the span of about 4 hours, give or take. So, because we got after the event, the kickoff event, which ended around 7, 8, we went to Doc's house, which is another actor in the film, and we went to his house, and from that point until about 12 or 1, give or take, we did the whole film. We wrote out the film and went from there.
So what made you decide that's the plot and that's exactly what I want to write about out of all the ideas that come to your head?
I think it was mostly just the fact that it was a consensus between all of us, that's what we all generally agreed upon at the end. That's what we all generally wanted to do at the end. Granted, we each still had our own different visions or ideas that we further expanded upon from there on out, but that's what we all felt safe with at a base level at the end.
That's great. So what was one of the challenges that you would say that happened, because this is such a short time to make a film that makes sense and it's watchable?
True. The biggest challenge, if I'm being honest, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's the time that's a challenge, or, figuring out the script or whatever. But I think the biggest challenge for us was making sure that every single person on the production, both cast and crew, was on the same page. And that their ideas, yes, we wanted to have their ideas be heard, but we also didn't want said ideas to distract us from the main narrative that we were trying to put forth with. And I think that was collectively our biggest challenges, because some people did have these ideas, and regardless if they were good or bad, at the end of the day, we were trying to keep this within this 7-minute constraint time, within this two-day film time. And you can't always accept everybody's ideas, because we have to get this done. We have to streamline this plot as much as we can. I think that was the biggest challenge at the end of the day.
So because you couldn't constrain anybody's ideas, did you have any fights?
Yeah.
Always happens.
Let's go with this. Some people had egos, and that's the nice version of what I was trying to say. That's what I'm trying to avoid right now. But simply put, some people had egos. Some egos are hurt. But when you're in this industry, forget the 48 for a second. When you're in this industry, yes, you can put forth ideas, but you also have to be able. You also have to be open to that criticism and acknowledge that your ideas can't always be the ones that are in the forefront, because sometimes that's the issue. Sometimes some of those ideas were only benefiting the one person instead of the team, and that was realistically that was the main issue. And regardless of 48 or not in any production, that's what you need to keep in mind. The ideas have to be for the team, not for yourself.
So you say that all your team stayed together till the end?
Here's the thing. 2 of the people, we only needed them for a few hours, so they didn't stay for the end. We only needed them for the 3 or 4 hours that we needed them. So in that case, no, we didn't need them. But the bulk of the team, and also, here's the thing, Define stayed together, because at the end, like I said, egos were getting hurt because some people in the production weren't playing nice, so to speak. So that was really, we got to a breaking point. I'm not even gonna lie, we got to a breaking point. We stuck together, but it was more for the sake of the film rather than because we wanted to, if that makes sense. Everybody I worked with on this project, I've never worked with before. I have met a few of them maybe in past networking events, right, but this is the first time I've ever actually worked with them. And again, the majority of them, I would love to work with them again. But it's that one person that, thank you, I never want to see you again.
Thank you, but not thank you. Okay, yeah. So if there was to be something that you learned from this 48-hour film, besides the thank you, not thank you, if there was something that you learned that you want to take with you that you wouldn't learn anywhere else because of the time frame, because of everything that happened, in such a short time, what would that be?
I think the biggest takeaway with this, and it's not so much so that I learned this, it's more so it further reinforced this. It's the fact that you do need to have a real tight story and have a real good, clear vision of what you're doing. Because to a certain degree, that was the issue. And that's why some people decided to start getting some ideas because our initial story wasn't as tight as we had originally thought it was. It doesn't matter if you're making a psychological thriller or a fun comedy, whether it be a slasher or, you know, a romance or whatever, you need to have a tight story regardless of the fact. And again, this project just helped further reinforce that notion.
So you have to get to the point. You have to know the story and get to the point in a short time, because 48 hours makes it more challenging because you have less time to film, you have less time on the timeline.
Yes.
So that makes it really challenging in the editing process.
I think if we're talking just for the 48, yes, you need to get your point across in that short time because we only get 7 minutes tops.
Right.
But I think if we're talking about filmmaking in general, you know, because some of us do make feature films. As long as you get to that point of the story, whatever that point of the story is, you need to have it come across by the end, the point and the message of the story. And again, this just helps further reinforce that notion.
Making a regular film, you have different priorities
Right.
on how you deal with the production, with the people. Where your priorities changed during this time?
I mean, here's the thing, because writing-wise, this is the first time I've collaborated with a group of people, because I'm a director and writer in my own right as well. So in the past, I've written my own scripts and I've sent it to some of my other friends who are also in the industry, say, hey, can you review this? What are your thoughts on this? You know, is the story tight? Can you give me notes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, since I'm working with a group of people, which I've never done before, I was listening to other people, so I had to take that in, and I think that kind of like scrambled my brains a little bit because I'm like, okay, I have to acknowledge the fact I'm working with other people in the writing process, which is something I don't usually do, and I think that's what threw me off to a certain degree. In that regard, my priority in general is have a game plan, and I think we didn't have the clearest game plan in that regard. And it doesn't just come down to the script. It comes down to, I mean, granted, in this case, for the 48, it comes down to the script. But in general, it also comes down to making sure you have your locations, making sure you have your proper cast and a proper crew, make sure you have your props, your resources, the budget, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how I always like working on making sure I have a proper game plan from finish to end.
Right. If you were to do this again, would you do it again?
Yes, I would do the 48 again. I've done it in the past. This is my 4th year doing it.
Okay.
I did it in 2017, 2018, and 2019, so right before the pandemic, and then I'm back here now. So yeah, I would return again. I think I would just make sure that the people I'm working with, I know them better. I know I can work with them. Because even compared to the other 48 challenges, I knew who I was working with. I knew who my team was, and I've worked with them in the past. Again, this is the first time I went like completely blind in that experience.
Why did you decide to do blind?
I mean, to a certain degree, it's because has to do with the fact that the industry right now in South Florida is ever changing. There's a lot of new faces, especially after the pandemic. So I'm trying to network with new people, and have those new opportunities I can work with. And like I said, everybody else on this production, I would love to work with again. That one person aside. So I mean, at the end of the day, that still is a positive. Don't get me wrong. And right now, this whole year, 2023, the industry has started to open up a lot more now that's in this post-pandemic world. So I'm meeting a lot of new faces, reconnecting with a bunch of old faces, and kind of going from there.
Yes. What was your reaction to the audience's reaction when seeing your film?
I was genuinely surprised because of the issues we had, we legitimately thought that the film wasn't gonna be up to par. And to a certain degree, everybody on the production did still think that it wasn't up to par. But regardless of that fact, a lot of people still seemed to enjoy the film, which I was surprised. Like, oh, I liked, a lot of people did compliment my acting, which, thank you for that, for those who did that. But, a lot of people also like, oh, I like how this turned out, how the shots in this turned out. I liked how there's that tension in the scene in the hallway, for example. So, I mean, again, some of the compliments we got for the film, I was genuinely surprised because I'm thinking, hey, if we just knew what happened behind the scenes, we're lucky we even got that much.
So basically, you had some doubts there that you would not make it the way you wanted to be.
in all fairness, we didn't make it the way we wanted to be at the end, regardless, if we're being completely honest. But we still got it done at the end of the day, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong.
Which is a good thing.
It's a good thing, but
Always a good thing.
always a good thing. But I think, again, the audience reaction did surprise in general by how positive it was. That was a refreshing thing. Like, despite everything that happened at the end, we still got those compliments. This, you know, and that's really, I think that's the most surprising thing about it.
All right, I guess we got it all setting up. Thank you very much for your input on your film, and we're glad to have you here, and we will be glad to have you next time again to try. Besides the little
the issue.
issues, you know, problems happen all the time, but we with a positive mindset, and you give people a chance. You never know.
Exactly.
In life, things happen for a reason.
Like one of the film titles here was called "It Is What It Is."
It is what it is. So that on that note, thank you very much, and good luck on the